all, I'm Sarah Bumgardner with AAFMAA, the American Armed Forces Mutual Aid Association. For over 144 years, we have been serving our military community to be the premier provider of financial solutions for the American Armed Forces. And as the Director of Partnership and Member Engagement, I talk with other nonprofit organizations about what they are doing to help service members, families, veterans, and the military community at large. And today's topic is the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation and the work that they do to help the children of Marines and sailors obtain higher education. I have Colonel VanOpdorp here today. Colonel VanOpdorp retired after 30 years in the Marines to then lead the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation as the Chief Operating Officer. Sir, it's so great to have you here today.
Sarah, thanks very much. It's great to be able to join the AAFMAA crowd to talk a little bit about what we do at the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation.
Absolutely. So you spent 30 years in the Marines and you recently retired in 2019. What led you to serve the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation as the Chief Operating Officer?
So when I retired, I did a little bit more time in the Pentagon as a senior civilian working for the Secretary of the Navy and the OSD Comptroller, and then had the opportunity to take some time off, having never done that after retiring as a Marine in 2019. And in the course of that, I was really just kind of figuring out, I wasn't very good at transition. I really enjoyed the time off, but found that you can waste that time pretty quickly. But as I approached the end of my 6-month timeline, and my wife started getting a little bit agitated, the opportunity came up where a friend of mine who was associated with the foundation said, "Hey, they're looking for a chief operating officer. You should, consider throwing your hat in the ring." And so I did. And as I thought about it, I had familiarity with the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation as a young Marine. They one of their primary fundraising vehicles is through golf tournaments, and so I participated in a number of those. So I was familiar with what the organization did. And someone had mentioned to me that, you ought to look at nonprofits as a place where you can find, job fulfillment that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And for me, the Scholarship Foundation does two things. One, it's something new. While I studied accounting in college, I am not an accountant, particularly a nonprofit accountant. So it was going to give me the opportunity to learn something new and present an intellectual challenge every day. But probably more important, I was going to still be able to have some affiliation with the organization that had been a major part of my entire adult life, the Marine Corps. We are not officially tied to the Marine Corps, but our fundamental reason for being is to help Marines. And I will tell everyone every day and twice on Sundays that I only made it as far as I did because I had every step of the way a great team of Marines that helped me achieve the success that as a team we were able to achieve together. So this was a great opportunity for me to be able to give back to Marines through the primary mission of the Scholarship Foundation, which is to honor them by educating their children.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it sounds like it's a wonderful fit for you. Sounds like your wife also is probably a bit happy that you maybe are out of the house a little bit more. But tell me a little bit more kind of about the mission of the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation and how they're facilitating that.
Absolutely. We're pretty simple. We have one thing that we focus on, and what we want to do is every day we want to do what we can to honor Marines. Marines that volunteer to serve, and whether it's 4 years or 40 years, they volunteer to wear the Marine Corps uniform in service to their nation. And our goal is to honor them for their service and their sacrifice. Now, that is our why. The fundamental way in how we do that, our how, is we provide need-based scholarships to every eligible child of a Marine or a sailor that serves with Marines that qualifies. I'll say that part again. Any child of a Marine or a sailor that serves with Marines that qualifies for our program will receive some level of award. And that's what we do. And that award is focused on providing the opportunity for a post-secondary education, whether it be at a 4-year college or in a technical education program. As long as it is a valid program, we will provide scholarship funding to qualified children that wish to pursue those goals.
Wow, that's amazing. I was a Marine spouse for 11 years, and I have two little ones, and so this is, something that might be coming down the path, and in time. But I think it's really wonderful how the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation. You said two things that were really important: is that when we're serving Marines and their families, right, and those children, but that it could be for a 4-year, college, or it could be for a technical school. So you're really opening up and broadening that horizon, which I think is great to be able to get higher education for kids. Kind of in that, right? The Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation recently found its way in the news with a very generous donation from Fred Smith, the CEO of FedEx, former Marine, of course. So can you kind of tell me what's on the horizon for these funds?
Sure. And a little bit of the background. Fred Smith, as Sarah mentioned, the founder and CEO, former CEO of FedEx. He was a Marine, served in Vietnam in the late 60s. And when he came out of the Marine Corps, started FedEx, I think, in 1973, and has become very successful, and it's a household name today. Several years ago, he came across a book titled Devotion. And Devotion is the story written by Adam Makos that tells of the relationship between Jesse Brown and Tom Hudner. Jesse Brown is the first African-American naval aviator that came in out of the Navy, the son of a sharecropper from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, that went to the Ohio State University and joined the Navy shortly after the end of the Second World War. He is paired with a gentleman named Tom Hudner from Massachusetts, a graduate of Andover Prep, and also a graduate of the Naval Academy. And they find themselves as roommates and wingmen in a F-4 Corsair squadron in the early 1950s. And the book is a story of how their relationship evolves on a number of levels. One, professionally, is naval aviators supporting each other in the air as wingmen, but probably equally as, if not more important, and the thing that captured Fred's eye, is the way that this relationship develops between the son of a sharecropper and a Silver Spoon kid from Massachusetts in 1950, a young black man and a young white man coming together, and how that relationship evolves, and the understanding and the devotion that comes about as a result of their shared experience on deployment as naval aviators and as friends, importantly. And there are some pretty heroic things that both Jesse Brown and Tom Hudner do in the telling of the story, and I'm not going to give away the ending, but it's a compelling story that Fred thought needed to be made into a movie, so he did. And the purpose I bring all that up is that Fred's donation is essentially his investment in that film. He wanted to make the film. He wasn't looking to make money from it, and so he wanted to find a place to send the proceeds from tickets. And he had a previous relationship with the Scholarship Foundation. He knows how we operate, and he has confidence in the way that we operate. And he told us he looked at the Ohio State University, he looked at the Naval Academy to give them the money because those are the two institutions that the gentleman went to. The Naval Academy doesn't need the money because all of those students attend college, as part of the government covers their cost. And, he chose us over Ohio State because our focus is exclusively on saying thank you to Marines for their service by educating their children. And so he gave us the money, and the money will come in slowly. It's not a $65 million check. It will come in slowly, but we will, as the money comes in, we will use it to the way Fred designed. And so it'll be to increase scholarships. But of particular note, of the $65 million, half of that money will go to the creation of the Brown Hudner Navy Scholarship Foundation. And part of the reason he came to us is because he has the confidence in us and how we operate. So he asked us to create an organization that focused on the children of sailors, primarily to honor the legacy and courage of Jesse Brown and Tom Hudner. And so the Brown Hudner Navy Scholarship Foundation is focused on honoring their legacy by doing the same thing we do for Marines now for sailors. The only additional caveat is that for sailors, Fred has asked us to focus on students that will go into the STEM fields as well as the health science field. So a long way to say, we do have a $65 million gift promise from Fred Smith that we will slowly receive as ticket sales and other proceeds from the film come in. and we will use that to ultimately, one day our goal is to provide a need-based scholarship to every single child of a Marine that qualifies. It's going to take us a while to do it, but Fred's gift will help us get well on our way down that path.
Yeah, I think that's amazing that you guys have figured out kind of a plan for that, and that those funds will be able to now honor bright sailors. So we're even broadening this even more, so that children kind of across both branches are going to be able to get higher education and be supported by either the Marine Corps or by the Navy. So I think that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that and kind of sharing what that looks like. If there are, say anybody who's out there who's going, okay, I think that I'm interested in seeing if I qualify or if my child is eligible for this scholarship, where can they do that?
Thanks for that, Sarah. That's probably the most important thing, because that helps us actually do the thing that we love to do most, and that's, give scholarships to young children that demonstrate the capacity and the willingness to pursue a post-secondary education. The best place to start is at our website, which is www.mcsf.org. And there you can find a link in our banner about how to apply for the scholarship. But what I'll tell you about that is that, our annual cycle runs a little bit like this, is that January 1st, we open up our scholarship application and we close it by March 1st. And then using this year as an example, we got 3,500 applications this year for the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation. And we got, because it's our first year and we limited visibility of it, we got about 70 applications for the Brown Hunter Navy Scholarship. And our team now will take the time to look through those applications to determine who was eligible. Because as I said in the beginning, every child that we find eligible will get some level of award. This isn't merit-based on the Marine Corps side. It is a little bit on the Navy side because we're just getting started, but on the Marine Corps side, every eligible child will get something. Wow. And the requirements that you have to meet are pretty easy. The first is you have to be the child of a Marine or a sailor that served Marines or the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation. For the Navy Scholarship Foundation, just the child of a sailor. And that's documented through, I know there are a lot of veterans. Your DD-214 is the proof that you need, and that's the primary source document. But there are other documents that our website lists that can establish that service connection. And then you have to establish the connection, whether it's your child or you're the legal guardian, something that shows that you have the responsibility of taking care of the child. So that's the first one. The second one is a 2.0 GPA. And so for some on the screen like me, that's probably a comforting thought. You need to be able to get a 2.0 GPA coming out of high school and maintain it in college. And then the third most important is the financial need factor. And we base that this year's financial need, the adjusted gross income from the Marine or the parents of the child needs to be under $112,000. And we benchmark that against the base pay of the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. And so if your child meets those three requirements, you make under $112,000, your child has a 2.0, and you served honorably in the Navy or the Marine Corps, your child is going to be qualified, and that's it. And if they meet those qualifications, the minimum they're going to get from us is $2,500 a year for 4 years. Wow. We do ask children to reapply each year so we can re-verify the income and the grades, but we don't need to re-verify the DD-214. But $2,500 a year is the lowest scholarship we give, and over 4 years, it's a $10,000 scholarship. The largest scholarship we give is $10,000 a year, and so that's a $40,000 scholarship. And those are based on the financial need. Yeah. So all that information is available at www.mcsf.org. And for those sailors out there that have kids that are getting ready to go into college, you can find, if you are a sailor that served with a Marine as a corpsman or as a religious person, you have the ability to apply for the MCSF scholarship, but as well, all sailors can apply for the Brown Hudner Navy Scholarship Foundation scholarship. And you can find a link to the BHNSF or the BHNSF program on our website, but I didn't give it to Sarah, but that website is brownhudner.org. One word, .org is how you can find out about the Brown Hudner Scholarship as well.
That's great. Well, I mean, it just sounds like that with those three requirements, every Marine and child of a Marine that might be eligible, you should do this. I mean, there's 3 requirements. If you hit those, you're going to get funds. And that's so important, right? To be able to reach that next level. So I really appreciate your time here today and talking about the Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation and how those Marines and sailors can, get this benefit for their children. So just thank you for your time and for telling me all about it.
Thanks for having me today, Sarah. It's always great to get the word out because we really do love what we do. And for me particularly, this is just a great opportunity to continue to give back to all those Marines over the years that helped me be successful throughout my career. So we love what we do. And, if you need any additional information, please go to our website and you can ask your questions there or just reach out to us through our information mailbox. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. Well, April is the month of the military child, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate that than highlight an organization who is helping fund the higher education of Marines and sailors' children. So thank you all for joining. I'm Sarah Bumgardner, and that will wrap up our AAFMAA Live for today. If you would like more information about AAFMAA and financial readiness within the military community, you can subscribe here at the QR code on your screen. Otherwise, I thank you all for joining and hope you have a great day. Bye now.
Thanks.